You want them to get impressed and learn something. Again, add that value, feel the warm and fuzzies associated with your brand. And then they'll reach out to you to get a demo or to talk to you or talk to sales. They'll reach out to you. It's how we work now. We want what we want when we want it, and then we'll reach out to you as soon as we need it. Don't make it harder than that.
Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. Yes, it is happening. We have waited and waited and waited so long that it's finally happening. And I'm excited to introduce my guest today. She's an absolute badass. But who is she? Let me describe her. Marketing leader and thought leader, podcast host, speaker, advisor, mentor. Decades. I rounded up a little bit. Decades of experience. I can't tell you how many decades of experience.
Many.
many leading teams, demand gen, branding, events, content, you name it. Named one of Rev Genius's next 50 creators, host of Women in B2B Marketing, The Pod. I love it. VP of Growth Marketing at Daxtra, Jane Serra. Welcome to the show.
Woo! I feel like I need to run into a wrestling ring now and go woo with my arms up.
Yes, I feel like we need that music, right? Playing in the background.
Yeah.
We need some John Cena music.
I don't even know what my song would be. Yeah, that was the best intro though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What would your song be?
Oh, no, I don't even know what it would be. God, probably a Britney Spears song.
Okay, fair. Maybe an angry Britney, or like Britney post shaving her head or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Crazy Brit.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to learn from you. And I know you like to tell it how it is.
Yes.
You're not going to mince any words, which is what we do here. We like not the mincing, but just telling it like it is. And, hardcore, let's do this. So I'm going to pass you this thing. It's heavy, but clearly you got this.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here you go.
I love this.
Grab that. Okay. You got Thor's hammer.
Got it.
And take from me Thor's hammer and smash some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
You got it. So we all like to say XYZ is dead, right?
Yeah.
So the one that makes my eyes twitch when I see it on LinkedIn the most is webinars are dead. So big, I'm smashing this myth, lifting it up high.
Yeah, so they are not dead.
They are not dead.
Well, tell me what's going on.
So I think, the first thing, people who say this are dead wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that everything comes down to the word webinar being outdated and in need of a rebrand. I think that's where the whole issue comes from, because people think web and it's like saying, oh, I'm on the internet and the interweb. And it just sounds like your grandma talking about Google or something, where it's like a web.
Yeah.
I'm going to search the web, surf the web.
I'm on America Online today, chatting with Jane Serra.
Yeah, exactly. It just needs it needs a facelift. I've actually started to, it's hard to transition because webinars, I'll get into, are my bread and butter for pipeline, always have been. That's what I'll dive into. But I've started to try to call it live event or live virtual event. It's a mouthful, right? It needs a new name. I have not come up with it yet. If anyone has ideas, ping me, let me know. But we need to rebrand webinar.
Well, if you and I both start drinking Celsius right now and we get through 8 cans, by the end of the show, we might just come up with
We'll have a name.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just chat GPT it.
We should, right? There it is. So webinar. I mean, I love webinars too. But yeah, that term, and people did bad ones, but I liked doing them better than everyone else. It just actually make them fun and entertaining. And they were great. People loved them. It definitely drove leads. So what's the deal? Why do people think they're dead?
I think this is going to make me sound old too, the fact that I love webinars, because whenever I talk to younger generation marketers, I forget what everyone's even called now. What's the newest one? Is Gen Z is after millennial, right? And then
I think beta just got born. I don't know.
beta. Yeah, see, I don't even know all the gens now, but
Or maybe they should call themselves Bravo, not beta. That might have some negatives.
there we go. They, I think it's that we are so used to with TikTok coming in, even Instagram before that, and Reels. We're used to getting like instant gratification, right? Even Amazon, Netflix, like everything leads to us wanting instant gratification. So when something is long form or like a longer thing, where webinars are typically 45 to 60 minutes. I think that people don't have the patience for that anymore, perhaps. But it's I okay, so the way five things I'll talk through today. I think I have five. Tell me if I miscount. But one thing that is detrimental, knowing this and how people's brains work, and that their attention span and wanting that instant gratification, is that you have to make it interactive. It can't be a monologue. This goes for basically all marketing too. Nothing should ever be a monologue and you talking at
Right.
people. But in a webinar, it should be interactive and entertaining. So if you have multiple people on the show, on whatever episode this is, that's great. But the key is to get the audience involved. That chat needs to be super active. People need to be having side conversations. Don't get annoyed by that. That's a sign that this is a winning webinar. Just make sure you're getting the actual attendees engaged in the content, asking questions to you. You're responding real time. Then it's like you're having a conversation.
Let's dwell here because I love this point. Interactive. Like I am definitely, if you bring me to a webinar, I am that guy who is like, in case, I wish I could have done this in class. I'm in the chat, chatting with other members, and like sometimes that's the value.
Yeah, same.
And I know that the speaker would love to see a little bit of feedback in there and a little bit of life in the audience. It's so hard to present, right, to
Yeah,
just a blank screen.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for everybody. It makes it just a lively experience for everyone. And you're not like because like you said, the presenter, the speaker, the guest, they just feel sometimes like they're talking into a void because everyone's muted, right? So it's kind of awkward when you're on a webinar and you're hoping people are listening. So as soon as the chat starts beeping up and you
Yeah.
see it like the lights and everyone going, scrolls are happening, it just feeds you and it gets you excited. Like, okay, people are into this. It's good feedback. It's like people clapping, but they can't do that.
Hell yeah. Have you ever been on like a Twitch channel?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, you got to check this out.
That's the video game stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay. These guys, B2B, we need to learn from them. And exactly to your
Yeah.
point, they're playing like, I don't know, Minecraft or Fortnite or like some strategy nerdy game. Or there's even some channels where someone's knitting, right?
Yeah. Oh, really? You don't have to be playing a game?
No. One
Oh,
person was painting.
okay.
They're doing their work, graphic design and whatnot. But see,
Wow.
like I would go to the ones with like nobody watching, so I'd be like, I'll watch you. But the interaction on the really popular channels, oh my gosh, we could learn from them. They're
Wow.
doing exactly what you're saying, and they'll say, hey, oh man, I missed that. T90 blind, and everyone will put the emoji of blind face in the chat, or they'll say, hey, let's vote for this thing, and one of their moderators will come in and put a little poll, and they're just interactive, and I'm like, damn, I wish we were that interactive in marketing. So I love this.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just wrote down a note literally to check out Twitch because I always thought it was video games and that's just not my thing.
Right.
But that's so cool that you could be doing other things. That could be fun to bring into B2B more. Obed does that really, really well. I'm not sure if you know him, but
No.
he's done Twitch like live streaming like video games while he's dropping B2B knowledge.
Oh, I love that.
He'd be great to have on the show too.
What?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
for sure.
can you like connect me afterward? That'd be sick.
Yeah, I'll try. We're not friends. I wish we were, but we're acquaintances on LinkedIn.
Well, you're shouting him out. I'll have to
Yeah.
play Fortnite with him and do this
Yes.
podcast and live stream at the same time. We'll
He's great.
make it happen. We'll shout you out. So yeah, okay. So got to be interactive.
Yes.
What's your favorite kind of interactive on webinars? Have you seen things work more than other things?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the chat. And I think what could actually work best is planting people that you know can ask great questions and get the audience going. is a great way to, if they're not used to that in the past, you got to have something spark it. So I love it or hate it. I'm sure it depends, but I am always like you, that person who's in the chat, like asking questions, giving feedback, like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like I literally write what I'm thinking in the chat. And I'm sure some people get annoyed by it. Tell me if you do ever, but most people, like if my friends are presenting or acquaintances or people that I know are presenting on the webinar, like I see them smile because they see me popping up in the chat. So it's like knowing you have a friend in the audience and they're asking questions. So having a plant, I think, is really good.
That's so smart. And then the idea of they shout you out like, yeah, oh, they laugh at your joke,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, oh, yes, Jane, exactly. Yeah, great point, Casey. Or
Yeah.
oh, Casey, who's that doing that? Who's trolling the chat again? Is that you, Casey? Oh, that's great. Great to see you in there. It's just so good. Yeah. I will say, I remember being in a webinar where they disabled the chat,
Yes.
and guess
Yes.
what? I left.
Yeah. It just feels so cold then.
It does. It does.
Agreed. I'm pretty sure Daxtra used to have that disabled as well, for webinars, and now for sure I'm trying to get us to probably even move to a system that lets you have better chat and reactions. Like we're so used to social media and even Slack and reacting to things, and not being able to do that. I think Zoom sometimes they let you do it, but not yet on webinars, Zoom webinars. It could be wrong, but that's sad like because you can't, it's not getting that interaction. Like you want to be able to share and some kind of reaction. And I love the platforms that let you see who reacted, because if I say something and I get like 5 likes to it in the chat, those are people I want to connect with on LinkedIn. Like let's talk, we're like-minded, let's connect.
Yeah, we're in the same soul. Like, let's go. We should have a round table. This is great.
Right. We need to chat, let's have a happy hour. But if they don't show it, it's hard to do that.
It is. Oh yeah, you gotta. Yeah, more of that, not less of that.
Yeah. You know what? This also spawns into, this is why it's good for the brand too, right? Why should the brand care about this interaction? It's it makes it memorable. So now they're coming to this webinar expecting some kind of value, which we'll get into as a next
Ooh,
number 2.
foreshadowing.
But yeah, they're coming to this expecting to walk away with knowing something they didn't when they started.
Right.
But now they're kind of getting a community feel from your event. If they're chatting with their peers in the feed, in the chat, you just created an experience for them that is going to be imprinted, and they will think of your company for creating this for them. So yes, you added value, but you also gave them the warm and fuzzies by giving them this community feel. So big win.
Love that. I'm already wanting to attend whatever you tell me. What I'm joining your webinar soon. We'll have to talk about that. So okay, so is value number 2 the one that you hinted at?
Exactly. So this one's kind of obvious, but people don't do it still, which I feel like we all kind of fall into this trap. We know things, but we still don't do them. But you have to make sure your webinar is adding value, instant value. You're teaching them something. They don't need to use your tool in order to achieve it. It cannot be just a sales pitch, especially not a sales pitch masked as an info session or some kind of an educational session. Don't do that. If you're going to pitch and you need somehow to tick a box saying this is like a group pitch or a group demo, just be truthful about that. Say it's that. It's not an informational, educational webinar. Just say what it is. Cool. People come to it, bottom of funnel content, own it. But if you're creating a webinar, keep it as that. Don't try to mask a sales pitch, because nothing, that's just a negative experience to your brand value, and just everything's going to go down with what people think about your brand.
You're like lying off the drop. Like, hey, we've just met. Let me lie to you as one of our first interactions. Let me show how untrustworthy I am. Never mind that people buy from people they trust. Let me just show you how you can't trust me at the very beginning of this process.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. But like, let's go back to that point. Like, and I love that you said adding instant value to, and it doesn't require adding something. I was going to fill out a form today, and it was like, oh, you can fill out this form, but in order to complete the form, you have to grant us agency access to your HubSpot.
Oh,
And I was like, damn, Um, that's a little bit further down the funnel than I am. I just met, we just met.
Yeah. What a blocker. Because you don't even know who's on the other side of the form.
Yeah. I didn't I didn't fill it out.
That's
I
crazy.
tried to not fill it out, but no, it was required. I had to.
And was this for an audit of some kind?
I thought it was for like a white paper,
What? No
but I guess it
way.
was an audit. I don't know,
That's
but
so funny. There's a few things wrong with that.
it had a cute name, and I just thought, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like I could learn from that. No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, hopefully someone looks at the analytics and sees the drop off at that question.
Yeah, seriously. So instant value, and talk to me about the instant, and then talk to me about the fact that we all like every marketer knows. Well, I hope they know. If they don't, now they do.
Yeah.
It has to be value, but we don't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think a lot of trouble with B2B, especially in older industries that aren't as up to date on what's working now and what people are expecting, like rev tech, right? Anything in marketing or sales tech, I feel like is the next layer after B2C marketing, where they're just on top of it. They get the newest things, like the trends, they're on top of things. But if you're in any other industry, if you're selling to government B2B or like education, it's just a very different dynamic and what people are expecting now. So making sure that you're telling them something new that they don't know, that they want to either take and implement themselves after this webinar or are slacking their team while they're on the webinar. You want to give them an aha moment of some kind, like, oh, that's a good idea. That's what you want people to think while they're on your webinar, your live event. And again, we don't want it to be at least all tied to your service or product or whatever you sell, your company does. We don't want it to be tied to that. Sure, a piece of it can be. You can have a little lure in there or like one piece, but for the most part, it has to be at least like 70 to 80% not your product, like things that they can go do today without having to sign up for what you sell.
Yeah, I think back to like HubSpot back in the old days when they had their university and they were just like, let's just teach you inbound. Yeah, no, it kind of eventually makes you feel like you need to get HubSpot, but at least they were trying to teach you how to be a marketer, you know?
Yeah, there's still golden nuggets in there. You still learned a lot. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Okay, awesome. So we got the interactive part, we got the value. What else? This is like a scavenger hunt. I love it.
Yes. So the third is partners. So everyone knows who follows me on anywhere. I love partner marketing. Partners has always been a top five, let's say, a pipeline driver for me in every career, every move I've been in. Same as webinars. And the reason that both of them are is because they are tied together. Partners should be looped in to almost, there's a caveat and asterisk, every webinar or event or content piece that you create. So you can either bring in partners to speak on the event with you, depending on what it is. Typically, that's how it will be. One partner or more. It can be multiple. You can make it a round table and have multiple partners in. Or if they're sponsoring it, like this is XYZ sponsored by ABC, that works too. But as long as the key here is the reach. So you're then promoting this to your audience, paid or organic. But now this partner is doing the same, paid or organic. They're emailing it out because this is the one thing email is still really, really good for, right? Is event signups. It's still the number one channel to get that going. So they're sending an email, they're posting about it, and your reach doubles, at least doubles. And for each partner you bring on, you're getting another round of reach there. So huge, huge opportunity missed if you are only hosting and promoting your own webinar and not working with your partners.
Man, that work together thing. I love partnerships too. Especially when you're doing things together, right? I think a lot of us talk about partnerships. Like, hey, look, I talked to someone today, like, hey, let's be a partner, and I'll get you that 5% of that affiliate thing. It's like, I don't want that, man. I want to be like a partner. I want to be like, let me find my deals and bring them to you, and yours, and let's build value together. I like real partnership, and nothing like having them on a live event and doing that, creating that together. A good friend of mine yesterday was saying that if you create something together, it bonds you like nothing else.
So true. So true. This is another kind of thing that weaves into all aspects of marketing, right? Experiencing something together, like step one here for a good webinar, getting that community feel and interaction. If you have an experience with a partner, they're part of it, you bond, you're imprinted together. And the same with your customers and prospects, right? Whatever content you're creating, if you have some kind of an experience together, you're just stickier and more memorable.
Now, how do you let's roll up the sleeves. How do you care and feed for the partners, but also how do you keep them in line so they don't get all pitchy? How do you make good art together and not step on each other?
So, yeah, you're going to win some and going to lose some. You have to kind of get understand that when you bring in partners. Some partners, no matter how many times you prep and you're like, look, these slides cannot be in here. We are not pitching. And you do that. Some will still just turn it into a little bit of a pitch. So you learn from that and you learn,
That's you, Salesforce. I'm looking at you, Salesforce.
yeah, right. Which they don't even need to pitch anymore, right? They're just like, they're the brand. But if you so sometimes they'll still pitch, but then you note for the next time either not to bring in the partner, that that person in particular cannot speak on the event, so you just know that for next time. But in that live event, when you realize that is happening, you as the host can kind of take over and nicely turn it back around and ask a question that gets it off of that. Not in a way that makes the product sound bad, right? You're not reversing or undoing what they were trying to pitch, but it's just getting into the next piece where it's adding value and keeping the audience's attention.
Totally get that. Kind of like on a podcast, just redirecting, right? Oh, okay, cool. Not going to say you're an idiot in front of everyone, but I am going to
Yeah.
bring us back on track and get us back over here. But it's a good point though. You're trying to protect your audience. You're sticking up for them, and you don't want them to be receiving the pitching, because if they do, they may not come back to the next event.
Yeah. Yep. I remember this is more of a community thing, but it kind of is how webinars are getting more into. But there's a group called CMO Coffee Talk. I want to say I always want to say Coffee Chat, but it's CMO Coffee Talk from Sixth Sense. They fund this, but it's they basically every week they get together and they have guest speakers, and the rule is no pitching. And the guest speakers are meant to just enlighten us on different topics. And it's amazing. It's interactive. People can come off and come on video, which is the next step of interaction from the audience. I haven't quite gotten there yet with my comfort zone of letting people come off camera, but with depending on who's there, you can do that.
Yeah.
But there was one time on CMO Coffee Talk where the guest speaker full on pitched.
What?
All they did was basically go through their sales deck, and
Oh
we were all just
no.
sitting there like, what is this? People were dropping off, and you could see the host just like turning red and getting angry, like this is not allowed, and like trying to turn it back around. But yeah, they're probably not allowed back on CMO Coffee Talk.
Probably not. Did they interrupt them, or did they let them keep going?
They tried a few times to like ask questions that got deeper into more examples and not about the product, but more, okay, but how can we do ABC? But it was very difficult.
Yeah, and that stands out, right? Like, hey, that's not what we're here for. To have people just be like, no, peace, I'm out. I'm not here for the pitch.
Exactly. I left after like half of that. I was like, I can't. I'm not getting this platform, so there's no need for me to watch anymore.
Totally, totally. Yeah. No, you have to protect them from that, and then stick by that, even if it means, that particular guest is a little bit muffled or something. Okay, well, hey, these are the rules, man.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, all of us who leverage partner marketing, partnerships of any kind, we all have kind of a running tally in the back of our mind of who do we love to work with? Who gets it? Who do we not really like to work with? And we aren't going to again. So we have this scorecard in our minds, whether we want to admit it or not. So which side do you want to be on the scorecard as a partner?
Yeah. Do you remember who was pitching? I'm just kidding.
Right. I do. We can talk offline.
Oh, good. We should, but we don't give them any free credit here. So
Right.
we'll keep those pitches out of here. Okay. Okay. So partners, I love that. That's a part of the secret recipe here for powerful live events. What else do we want to add?
So another golden nugget that I think most of us should know by now because this word is used all the time, but it's repurposing the content. I don't think we do it enough. I know a lot of us are busy, that do more with less is still very much a thing. We are, strapped teams, smaller than they should be for our goals in most cases. But we have to, like, we end up getting pulled away, right? We record our webinar and we're like, okay, on to the next thing. But you have this golden content. Video content is just gold to start with. So if you have this, it's 40 minutes, 30 minutes, like plus of video content that you can just give to someone. There's so much AI that you can pop it into, and it'll turn out some branded clips for you for LinkedIn, for whatever social platform your audience is on. But it's an instant way to repurpose that. You can also take chunks and themes. There's also AI that can do this for you. Pod Squeeze is one that I love and recommend, not sponsored, but you pop in the video or even an audio file, and it'll turn out clips for you, and it'll give you themes throughout the conversation. So key points, key themes, and those can be built out into blog posts, right? Into content, into LinkedIn posts that don't have to have the video clips. So just whatever makes sense. But there's so many different ways to repurpose this into content for social, for newsletters, anywhere where your audience is, but getting it out there. It should not be just this one-time event that is, no longer used after the fact.
It's so valuable. And you know what? One of the experiments I found, this was so true with, I like when people joined my live events with my last company,
Yeah.
but there were inevitably people who couldn't make them. And
Yeah.
and they listened to the recording, right? And that's always the question, is there going to be a recording? And we put that out there, and we found that not only did a lot of people listen to the recording, sometimes we actually found that more recording listeners converted than live listeners, because the live listeners were my groupies, and then the recordings were the people who were actually working and didn't have time to join me on the webinar.
Wow.
And
Interesting.
so, yeah, I don't get to see their smiling faces or see them in the chat, but they were there in spirit, but they also learned from it. So good call on making sure you get it to people. Yeah.
Yeah. Question on that. Was this a LinkedIn Live type thing, and then it was just people could watch the recording on LinkedIn after, or was it you sent out the recording?
Sent out, it was like a Zoom webinar or something. Yeah.
That's good to know, because I feel like a lot of marketers, again, webinar, everything's dead, right? But with webinars, we always joke that people ask, "Oh, is this recorded?" And then we send the recording, and we assume no one really watches it when you send it out. But that's great to know that people are actually watching the recording. So for sure.
Yeah, and it was so counterintuitive because and I get it, if my hunch is correct, that yeah, they're like, no, I can't make it at 2 p.m. on, but I'm actually curious about that content, and it was valuable, and they converted. And I don't know how we had set metrics up to be able to see that. Maybe it was the landing pages that were separate, but we were able to see that more converted from that than from the initial experience,
Love it.
which helps when you don't get as many people showing up, or if you do, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
It makes sense too, because they're taking the extra effort. If they look for the file afterwards and watch it on their own time, you know that they are invested. Like they need whatever this is about.
Right. Right. They need it.
So that makes sense. Yeah. But repurpose. Let's actually do it. Don't just know that you need to do it, do it.
Okay. What's the number one thing if you can only repurpose your webinar to one thing, what are you making it?
Social clips, video clips.
Video clips.
And the benefit, because all of these kind of weave into each other, right? These steps or tips or however you want to call it. The partners can also leverage these clips that you're pulling out, right? So you can post it, your team can post it, your execs can post it, your partners and their execs can post it. So just having a bunch of clips that everybody can go posting, because people buy from people, especially nowadays. It helps.
Yeah. From people. Sick. Okay. Well, dang. Yeah. All right. For everyone else who wants to know number 5 of 5, click on our paywall and find it. No.
Right.
And maybe you too one day, if you fill out the form and send us $1,000, we'll tell you what is number 5.
So funny. I have number 5, and I'll give a bonus
Oh,
even after
sick.
that, because I can probably list off a million. But for 5, again, should be obvious, but most people still do this. Ungate the webinar recording. There's no need for somebody to fill out a whole form just to see your webinar recording. This should just be on your website, on YouTube, no block. The pushback I get on this is, but they had to sign up to join the webinar. Like, yes, they did. But now it's already happened. Like, do you want to have a block here or do you want as many people as possible to see this content? It's the latter. You want as many people as possible out there looking at this. So get it on YouTube, get it wherever you can post your videos, share it on your website, and do not have any kind of a gate. In fact, have clips of this on blog posts on the same topic or link to this page with the full webinar from things without a gate, no form, because they'll contact you.
Have it on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
It's 2025. Like if you don't have any of the 30 million marketing automation platforms that can track people, yeah, you already know they clicked on a link in an email. You've cookied them. You know exactly who they are.
Yeah, cookies didn't go away. So
right. So why don't you just let them have your content? Yeah, it's smart. It's smart. I have seen people do like get access to all of our webinars, filling out this form if you're a stranger. But other than that, I mean, just let them watch it, you know?
Yeah, it just makes no sense because you want them to get impressed and learn something. Again, add that value, feel the warm and fuzzies associated with your brand, and then they'll reach out to you to get a demo or to talk to you or talk to sales. They'll reach out to you. It's how we work now. We want what we want when we want it, and then we'll reach out to you as soon as we need it. Don't make it harder than that.
Seriously, we want it now, and not later. Okay. So yeah, just ungate those things. Open up the floodgates. Let people get the content. If it's good content, if it's just a trick to try to get people to fill out a form, well, then that would explain why you gated it, you know?
Yeah. Also, could you imagine that if somebody goes through the effort, they're like, oh, this is annoying, but fine. And they fill out a form and then the content's crap after that? Like, it's going to be doubly a bad experience versus if there is no gate and they're watching and they're like, this isn't really what I wanted. They don't have a negative experience. They can move on.
And someone tricked me on a Facebook ad. It was like, hey, marketing automation, which at the time I was obsessed with, plus
Yeah.
AI is going to be like the future. I'm like, okay, I'll get you a white paper, friend. I respect the hustle on the Facebook advertising. Let's go. Click, fill out the form. And then it was the most garbage PDF I've ever seen in my entire life. They probably could have
Yeah.
done better if they had AI make it, but like it was just
Yeah.
really bad. And then a sales rep
Yeah.
called me literally that same day or next day. And I was like, look, sorry, friend, this wasn't you, but that was the worst white paper I've ever read in my entire career. I never want to talk to your company again. Sorry. Like go away. It's not your fault. Talk to marketing.
So sad. Yeah. Bad marketing, the impact it can have.
Seriously. So white paper or webinar, man, don't trick people. Open those things up. If they're impressed, they'll come back for more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That people come to you when they're ready.
Sick.
And I have a bonus. This one's new. I mean, I think this will be new for most people. I've done this before and it worked really, really well. I wish I remembered the stats. I'll see if it comes to me. One issue with webinars is that let's say you get 200 registrants for your webinar. Usually about 40% show up live. To your point, people watch afterwards, so that's great and you'll repurpose it so nothing's lost. But it's still an annoyance, right? Because you wanted the 200 to show up. So one way to get butts and seats, this works for in real life events as well, but for webinars we're talking about, is you tie their attendance to a donation. So for every attendee, we're donating X dollars to this organization. Then it associates, so A, you're doing something great. So it's a win-win at the end of the day anyway, because if whoever joins, you get to donate, organization wins, it's amazing. But there's also a little bit of guilt that the person then has if they don't show up. They're like $10 or $5 towards this org is not going to be sent. So there's a tiny bit of guilt you put on them and it makes them show up.
I love that. And I love that this came last.
Yeah, it's the bonus.
This is like the nugget buried inside this podcast conversation. I feel like this is a masterclass. This is a masterclass on webinar. We'll call it live events, webinars.
Yeah.
What a powerful tip. You're helping people. And if we're kind of messing with your psychology a little bit as a buyer, I thought you were going to say like a discount on the service, but this is even better because like you didn't have to buy the thing, but you just stole bread from someone else's mouth, or like some kid was going to blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah. They're not getting their iPad now. Yeah. I know.
all you had to do was
Yeah.
show up.
It's true. And you don't make it so like dire, right? But it does like that.
Right. I'm obviously ridiculously.
Although you know what? With the right brand and right brand personality, you totally could.
You could.
Like you didn't show up, so $10 didn't go to X. You could probably get away with that with the right brand personality.
Right.
I haven't done that yet.
Since you couldn't attend the webinar, they euthanized 3 puppies.
Oh my God. Right? The extreme. That would be
Asshole, comma. Since you
right.
couldn't make the webinar.
I swear, I want to see someone do that campaign because that for the
we
right,
please?
like badass brand, that would work really
For
well.
real. Like someone listening, if you do this, I don't care what you're selling, please do this and share it with both of us. We will cross promote you. We will promote
Yeah.
your brand, assuming you're
Right.
not also
Totally.
illegal and killing puppies. But
Uh-huh. And you
yeah,
could even make it like a save the puppies now, like by watching it again and we'll donate it still. Right? Like a comeback.
watch the recording. Save. Yeah. Okay.
Save the
Yeah.
puppies.
Watch a recording and make up for it. Otherwise, you are doomed. Doomed.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
having calculating scores.
Bad karma.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your karma.
Exactly.
100 points from Gryffindor. Your karma's you're gonna be a mushroom next life. Like seriously, you know.
I love that kid.
Dang, I love it. What a powerful tip. My next question is like, who are you? Who are you? Take me back in time. Little Jane Days. Did you know you were going to be, podcasting to the stars, leading team, marketing and just shaking the world up? And like, what's up? Take me back in time. What was it like being little you?
Yeah. Little me. Let's see. I'm one of the rare boring marketers that did go to school for marketing and graduated, got my MBA in marketing and international business and always was in marketing. I think I'm one of the rare few that was like on the straight and narrow the whole time. I knew it.
Did you grow up that way? Like, what was little Jane like opening like a little marketing book at like 4?
So funny. You know what? I think I always did have this in me, but I used to love like ads. I was a big TV watcher my whole life, still am. And I love watching ads. I mean, some are annoying, right? And I fast forward over, but I used to love them and like kind of analyze them and talk to my mom about them. Like, oh, this was so cool, blah, blah, blah. Like I would recognize really good ideas. I was like, that was genius. So even as a kid, I would think that. So as I went into like graduating school, applying for one of my first jobs, somebody asked me like, why do you want to get into marketing? And I told them this story. I'm like, I've always loved ads and blah, 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 blah. And the person interviewing me was so mean. I was like 20. I was super young and didn't know things, right? Like, be nice to young people just starting out. She goes, well, then you should be getting into advertising, not marketing. I was like, what? Like, oh. And she just made me feel like the stupidest person in this interview. I'm like, is that a totally different thing? Like, they're so intertwined. She did not have to do that to me.
What an idiot.
People are mean.
Do you remember who she is?
I remember the company. I wish I did. Honestly, it would be really funny to like just connect with her and figure out if she even remember. I'm sure she would not remember that. I don't, yeah.
Invite her on your podcast.
Right? Well, it's so funny because I was thinking about this, like, what would I tell my younger self, right? I asked this question on my podcast and I tend to think about it myself.
Oh, okay. Can I ask it? Can I ask you that question right now?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Because I have a certain way of asking it. So,
Okay.
hypothetical, are you ready?
Yes.
I may or may not have a time machine here in New Hampshire. Okay. So you come visit, do a little event in Boston, little partner event or something. Come up, use a time machine. It's true. It's in the back, covered in a tarp. Okay. Now we use this time machine, and it's a particular kind of time machine where you get to go back in time and meet yourself a couple days after that marketing degree, right? That business management marketing degree. You get to go visit that Jane a couple days after graduation. What do you say to her?
Yeah, I know exactly what I would say there. Probably a million things.
And you ask this all the time, but now you get to answer it.
Probably so many different. Yeah. So the first and foremost, that would be most impactful is to stop comparing yourself to others. Because that, I think, I grew up with a sister. We were always comparing ourselves to each other. So it's deep in me. This is like therapy session. But that was something I always did. And I think it's especially common for women in business and marketing because there's just generally fewer seats at the table, right? So we were pitted against each other when I first
Mm.
started in marketing. So it's constantly this comparison. But what I would say to do is anytime you feel that comparison, go talk to them, become friends with them, and instantly that comparison and the imposter syndrome that comes with it disappears. And instead, you just become friends with them, inspired by them, motivated by them, and it just completely flips it around. If I knew that earlier, I would have been a much happier, healthier person earlier on.
Oh, totally. Do you think that version of you would listen to you?
Yeah. That's a whole nother question. I'm not a very good listener when people tell me what to do. So probably not.
Like, who are you, lady?
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Okay.
I roll.
Do you maybe want to whisper to her too, like, by the way, advertising is marketing? You'll thank me later.
Stand up for yourself. Yeah.
Seriously. And write her name down so I can get
Yes,
her
writer
later.
needs. That's so true. That's the other thing I would say for sure.
Man. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. This
Thank
has been
you.
so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, that's why your podcast is fun. You are an amazing host. You're an amazing guest. I've learned
Thank
so
you.
much, even about a topic I am passionate about. I am like having takeaways and action items. I
Yay.
want to redo some of these things. So thank you for
Love
coming on
it.
here.
Look, it's like a good webinar because takeaways.
For real.
Love it. Thank you, Casey.
Maybe that's what this is. We just need an audience and it's a webinar, right?
It's all content, right?
It's all people. Hey, for those listening, because we know you're there, even though you didn't have a chance to interact beforehand, you can interact now. Share
Yes.
this with like 1, 9, 3,000 people, but even one person. Like, who needs to hear this? Were you on a boring webinar recently? If so, share this link with the organization that tortured you and made you leave that webinar. Or were you on a good one? Or do you have some friends, fellow marketers, or maybe you're looking to launch that webinar program because it seems like a good idea? Use this, reach out, make it happen. Man, Jane, where can people reach out
Yeah.
to you? How do they get in touch?
Thank you. On LinkedIn, of course. That's I'm there way more than I should be every day. So connect with me there, chat. I love new connections and Women in B2B Marketing podcast. So for sure. And
Absolutely.
definitely share this episode and give Casey a good review and rating because that helps get in front of more people.
Yes. And if you don't like it, then don't.
Right.
But if you do like it, then do. Oh, man. Thank you again for being on here.
Thank you. This was so fun. You're a great host. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. All right, everyone. This has been a crazy cool, fun, super cool ride of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will see you all next time.